Hello.
Hello, AOS fans.
It's the agents of Gnarlwood.
It's new Warband time. New Warband. Hype. So there was quite a lot of excitement. It was LVO, the big LVO announcement. 6 a.m. in UK time. It was announced on Friday morning while I was still in bed, asleep. There was loads of announcements, lots of different GW games. And of course, the one we were interested in was the Warhammer Underworld announcement of the whole new Warband, the fourth and final Warband, no less, of Gnarlwood. And they sort of on the roadmap, they left a few cryptic little clues as to what it might be. There was quite a lot of discussion. Was it a Sylvaneth Warband? Was it these new mysterious Umbraneth Dark Elf type things that people are desperate to get hold of?
People had loads of fantastic and wonderful ideas of what it might be.
And I kind of feel like the hype machine maybe overextended itself this time. But it was a new Daughters of Cain, Blade Coven 2.0.
It was, yeah.
Which I don't think anybody was expecting or, may I say, wanted.
No one wanted it, no one really asked for it, and I don't think they're a bad warband, we'll come on to that in a moment, but I think the collective noise from the Underworld community was,
Yeah, I don't think the models are bad, but I just think actually the Blade Coven are some of the nicest models we've had for Underworlds.
Yeah.
You've got the sort of girl who's half woman, half snake.
Yeah. And you've got the one leaping over with the whip and stuff like that. Yeah. They're not a bad warband to look at. They're pretty pleasing.
They're not that great on the tabletop.
No.
So maybe this would be the opposite.
Yeah, it could be.
So I think it was perhaps a little bit underwhelming, the initial announcement, just how it looked. And it also meant of the 4 new Gnarlwood warbands, we had Gnarl Spirit Pack, which were essentially Godsworn Hunt 2.0.
It's your Godsworn Hunt 2.0.
And then we had the Sons of Elmorn.
Yeah, it's just Sepulchral Guard 2.0.
And we had the Loom Court.
It's just Arbag's Gits 2.0.
And so we've kind of gone 2.0.
Yeah, everything's sort of like ticking up, but are they a 2.0 that's worth talking about?
Well, I think they are.
We are going to talk about them.
I think they are. I think they got a touch of the Garrix about them. I think you might quite enjoy playing them. Although they wouldn't want to touch the Garrix because that tends to hurt.
I mean, one thing that really hits you straight away when you look at it is their defence characteristic is 2 dodge off the bat, at least for the boss.
Yeah.
And they also have a little Nurgle aspect to them, which for every dodge you get, it reduces the damage by 1 to a minimum of 1.
They are acrobatic. Which used to be a card back in the day.
It did. I remember acrobatic. Yeah. +1 defence.
So it's on dodgy, so it's not quite so good.
No, it's good.
But it's still pretty good.
It's still not bad.
Especially when you're rolling 2 dice. There's a hope. They've got a tasty attack, even when uninspired. Yeah. So it's 3 swords, 2 damage, and it has combo. Yeah. So we haven't seen combo since the Chasm days, I don't think. Since Blade Coven.
Yeah.
So the combo mechanic might be back. It was pretty underwhelming first time round. And it's got Grievous as well, which means in theory you've got 3 swords, 3 damage potentially.
Yeah, and when she's inspired, it's 3 hammers and potentially 3 damage with the Grievous. And Grievous on 3 dice comes out 6-ish% of the time, which means she's got a pretty good odds of inspiring as well.
Yes, because her inspire condition is if she gets a critical hit on an attack.
And if you can position, depending on the cards that they come with and stuff like that, she could be making multiple attacks, so she's got multiple chances to inspire.
Yeah. Pretty exciting, although I'm never a fan of having to do things on dice rolls to inspire. It's not reliable enough for me. Now the article says that each fighter will have a different inspire condition, which I have to say fills me with fear.
I'm definitely feeling the bile rise in my throat when I read that, because it drives me mad when every fighter has a different inspire.
I mean, it might not be too bad if it's just a different set of dice conditions, but
rolls 2 swords, rolls 1 hammer.
But it just, I mean, I know Lady Harrows. I mean, that's not so much how they inspire. That was more they did different things once they were inspired.
Yeah.
But I'm never a fan of multiple different things. Bring me Garrix.
Yeah.
Kill stuff. Inspire. One minor note is she's a priest. Now, I saw a bit of a meme about this on Facebook, but it just occurred to me they do have a few priests in the game now.
A few knocking around.
And it does nothing, as far as I know. It's just like, not a wizard.
It's going to be a bit like the wizard mechanic, which is like, they're a priest. What's that do? Nothing, really. It's always a bit like hunters.
But the wizard mechanic at least did do something.
Yes, did.
It's kind of like, they're not an ordinary fighter, but they're not a wizard because they haven't got magic dice, so they're just priests. Kind of interesting. Whether we'll have anything that links into priests, we'll have to wait and see.
Problem is, with so few warbands with priests bumbling around in them, it's unlikely they're going to do much, because if there's a brilliant priest card that comes out, there's like 4 warbands that can use it.
That's a very good point, especially with the new plot cards. You basically for Nemesis, as we're moving to, you can't have one that keywords off priest
specific, yeah.
too much. So
unless you've got a load of cards that are going to make your fighters priests off the back of that,
but
then it completely removes the need to have a fighter who's a priest to start with, because I'm just going to put upgrades on people. So we did see a couple of cards for them. Their objectives looked not too bad in some cases.
Well, there's a faultless display, which again is a bit too reliant on dice for me. You have to get only successes in your dice rolls. Maybe there's going to be a way of boosting supports and such like to give you more successes. In praise of Kane, they don't mean the Tottenham and England centre forward. At first glance, it's wow, that's really easy to score.
Yeah.
But actually,
and it's 3 glory, which is like, oh, that looks good.
And I saw a few things saying, isn't this the easiest 3 glory you'll ever see? But of course it isn't, because it has to be every fighter. So what it says is, score this in evade if each surviving fighter has 1 or more charge tokens and or 1 or more wound counters. There is surviving fighters, not friendly fighters.
Yeah.
So if you're playing against Cord, might be all right. Everybody's charging, getting injured, but maybe if they've got some ping damage shenanigans.
You have got 2 options there. That it's like the move tokens or wound tokens. So you can to some extent help with that by charging and attacking people and just slicing bits off of them, but not enough to take them out. Or I mean, just take them out perhaps, and it doesn't then matter if there's not on the board.
No, that's true.
But yeah, it could potentially be very tricky if you come
I guess
against
it's late game. Late game.
It's definitely a late game card.
But so interesting anyway. So we have to see what card support they've got. We did see a few power cards.
Yes, we did. We did also see something of their little special rule for them, which is Flourishes.
Wow.
The Flourishes give you a Warband-wide buff for a period of time, and they include things like giving you +1 to your damage, or enabling you to fly, or +1 dice to your attack, but -1 on your defence.
So they all have a kind of negative.
Yes.
So the +1 damage card, if you miss, you take a damage.
Yeah.
But they persist until you've had a successful attack action, so there is a chance you might get more than one go, whether you want more than one go. With Fatal Flourish, I don't know. I'm not sure about the flying one. They're interesting. It's an interesting idea. You'd have to see how the rest of the cards come out. I quite like -1 defence, +1 dice. That's like a good trade-off to me.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that implies lots of 2 dodge warbands. Because it is to a minimum of 1. So there would be no negative if the rest of them were 1 dodge.
And there is a leader-specific upgrade as well, which enables you to take up to 2 Flourishes from your discard pile at the beginning of the round. So you'll draw your 5 cards, and you could possibly pick up 2 Flourishes after that as well, which means you could have 7 cards at the start of a round.
Yes, and it means they persist longer as well, so they wouldn't go if you hit successfully. So that's pretty good. In the video, they flashed up 3 cards. 2 of them we've seen in the article, but there was another one which was called Paragon of the Arena.
Yep.
These Warband are called Gryselle's Arenai, which I think means they fight in an arena.
Gladiators, basically.
Gladiators, yeah. And so basically, after the declare attack action, it's a reaction. It's an upgrade, and it's a reaction after the declare attack action step of a fight 1 or 2, range 1 or 2 attack action. You can give them a guard token, and I think it must say +1 dice attack action until it's resolved, and +1 damage. It looks pretty nice to have on anybody really, but pretty nasty on the boss.
Yeah, and we don't know what the rest of the fighters are going to look like yet, but if they're anything like her with the 2 dodge to start with, and her attack is pretty nasty, they could be, like you say, quite a nasty Garrick alternative.
Yeah, she's got 4 wounds as well, so if you can find her, there aren't very many these days, but if you can find a card that gives a +1 wound, then she's up to 5 wounds.
Generally, those +1 wound cards these days, like you cannot give this to a large fighter or a leader.
I guess if you're playing Championship, you could use Great Fortitude from the Essentials deck, but
Great Fortitude and Great Strength, you could be knocking out 4 damage on 5 wounds.
Wow,
just silly.
Yeah, so I think they have the potential to be like Garrick Reavers.
Yeah,
running in charge, keep hitting stuff.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what their power cards are, and also interesting to see what the new plot deck is.
I'm trying to forgive the fact that the models themselves aren't particularly over-inspiring, and that I kind of feel like we wanted something more than Morgwath 2.0.
I've kind of come to the conclusion with Underworlds that actually there's that initial, oh, I like the Warband, oh, I don't like the Warband. But actually, I like them is how they play.
Yeah.
So I really didn't like the Despoilers when they first came out, but actually they're quite fun to play.
Quite some funky mechanics.
Yeah, so I think as a general rule, the Warbands I enjoy most now are the ones with the better mechanics rather than the better models.
Yeah, I have to say, when Morgox came out, I loved the models, but actually playing them can be a little bit dull and a little bit unfun to play.
I find that I don't know either of them, but that's interesting, isn't it? I don't like the models or the...
There we go. Orcs is best.
Sons of Elmorn.
I mean, Sons of Elmorn, I like both. But anyway, that's a whole different topic for us to talk about. So there you go. There is the LVO announcement. Gryselle's Arenai are coming soon.
They are. I'm just going to love making up those words, like Arenai.
Arenai.
And I just feel like she's just going to end up being called Gryselle. On that bombshell, we'll see you soon somewhere in the Gnarlwood. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out all our content. Hopefully we'll get these nice and early so we can bring you release. We don't know what the release date is yet, but we can bring you some content when they are released, and we will definitely be playing with these guys against all the other Gnarlwood warbands and probably some older throwback warbands too. So do stick around, like, subscribe, ring that bell, all that jazz, and we'll see you soon. Bye!